in for the first time, or whether you're a seasoned practitioner, we always try to remind ourselves that the best way in which to practice is to practice as a beginner. And I've heard many teachers say that in life, the moment we think we know enough, or we say, I know, we close ourselves to countless possibilities that are out there that exist beyond what we know, what we hold, the information we hold within our mind. And so that's how we use the beginner's mind in this practice. And here's the bell. I'm going to ring the bell so that we can all refresh ourselves and be beginners together, entering into this practice as if it were the first practice ever. Releasing words such as meditation, releasing words such as mindfulness, releasing words such as practice, and simply sit, breathe, and open ourselves to the present moment. Landing on your cushions, landing on your mats, on your chairs, being grateful for these surfaces that support our bodies. Because soon you will discover that a large part of this practice is simply about appreciation, appreciating this present moment and everything that it brings to us. And for a large part of my life, I discounted many other practices, such as those of the Aboriginal cultures and the ancient cultures. But soon I discovered that it was all connected. The more I discovered about this practice that we are embarking on, the more I discovered how these ancient cultures, the Aboriginal cultures, the First Nation cultures of North America and South America, they have always been practicing meditation. Because they saw everything as being alive. And now science is telling us exactly the same thing. It reminds us how everything is pure energy. Everything that we can see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, made up of atoms and molecules, some of them visible, most of them not. Atoms and molecules made up of particles, and within the particles, a whole new world of energy. Energy beyond that which can be picked up by our five senses or even our mind. Subtle energies vibrating at very high frequencies. Frequencies that cannot actually be measured through any instrument that has been created. And so, in this practice, we will appreciate all of these atoms and molecules, all of this energy, starting with those surfaces underneath us, made up of different types of materials, brought into shape, created by people somewhere, maybe nearby, possibly far, far away, from materials from this planet, from the earth. Let us give our attention to the surfaces underneath us that support our bodies, that give us this extra level of comfort, that somehow manage to mold to the shape of our bodies. And appreciate, which simply means be thankful for it. That were transported here, possibly from some faraway land, ships, planes, trains, all initiated by someone somewhere. And we give thanks to all of these beings, all of these people who have made this moment possible. And the clothes that cover our body, that give us this warmth, this comfort. The floors upon which these mats, these chairs rest on. These walls that surround us, that give us this space within which to practice. This technology in front of us that allows us to connect in these incredible ways. You may ask what appreciation has to do with this practice. Many teachers, they remind us that is all this practice is about. Helping us to see everything around us, not through the filters and lens of the mind, which has decided what it likes, what it dislikes, what's too loud, what's too soft, what's too rough, what's too smooth, but simply to step outside of these filters and simply enter into a space of deep appreciation. Let us also pay thanks to our past, because somehow the past is going to arise. You're going to compare this moment to something in the past. Old conversations or events may arise, some of them good, some of them bad. But let us acknowledge that every single one of those experiences brought us to this space that we find ourselves in at this moment. Were any of those events to be uh, any different, if any of them had been any different We may be somewhere else at this moment. And in many cases, we may not even be alive. What may have seemed to be a challenge or a bad experience may have simply protected us from some harm and perhaps even pointed us inward so that we began the process of releasing our dependence on external conditions in order to be happy, content, still, and peaceful. The journey within begins now. By bringing our attention to our breath, which from this point onwards will act like a bridge, which will become a bridge between this world outside of us and that which is within. And so gradually, just very gently, almost as though up until this moment, the spotlight was shining all around you, around your room, around your skin, on your clothes, on your furniture, on the walls, on the floor. But now the lights begin to dim. The lights, they very gently begin to dim, and then the spotlight comes on because the star is about to appear. The star of this show is about to appear. And that star, that focus of our attention, being the breath. And so bring your attention to your nostrils. Initially, just noticing the direction of the breath. Sometimes flowing in, other times flowing out. Whether your eyes were open or closed, the breath is invisible. And so it is the sensory experience of the breath that we seek. And nothing too complicated, just direction so that you identify when the breath flows in and out. Temperature of the breath flowing in and how it becomes a little bit warmer as it flows out. And then the humidity levels, how the in-breath often feels a little bit more crisp and dry than the breath that flows out. Still pretty much around the nostrils, the surface level, so that you feel the breath brushing against your upper lip, against the rims of the nostrils. And then following the breath inwards and up the nasal passage, allowing the nasal passage to act like a bridge that transports you into that space within. We spoke of the Aboriginal cultures and their beliefs. Many of them, they thought they reminded their young as they looked up upon the sky, as they gazed upon the fields and the plains and the oceans, that the whole world around them was but a reflection of the space within, almost like a mirror. Now begin envisioning, imagining that space that you see in the sky outside and above us. Those endless fields with the mountains silhouetting the background. And if you've ever stood on a beach gazing out into the sea, all of that space, but a reflection of this space that we are about, possibly even already tapping into. Breathe in, follow your breath, trace it, the tiny, subtle sensations as it bends downwards, as it moves down the throat, through the lungs, into the stomach. How from the lungs they move into the bloodstream, reaching every cell within our body, the trillions of cells that make up our bodies, with the skin, muscle, flesh, bone, organs. Your whole body sitting, breathing, body filled with awareness. And if you were to see the surfaces of your body as you would the surfaces of the ocean, choppy, with ripples, with waves, and a moment ago we spoke about the storms that are happening all around mainland UK. Winds and weather patterns affecting the seas and the surfaces. Isn't that what this world around us often feels like? Even right now, can you notice around you there are many things you have very little control over? For me, I can hear this faint sound of voices outside my window. For you, there might be car alarms or traffic or mobile phones or dogs barking or children crying. Let us simply liken all of these movements, these changes, as representing that surface above the ocean. Now, usually, most of us arrive in practices such as this because we've spent most of our lives attempting to control the external, the outside, trying to change weather patterns, trying to change the people around us, trying to accumulate more things, hoping that that one next thing that we buy or possess is going to bring us that permanent stillness, joy, contentment. And that's a little bit like trying to change the weather, control the waves. And it's been an exhausting process. For this practice, for the duration of this practice, let us simply try a different approach. And it begins by allowing the wind to blow, allowing the storms to unfold, allowing the sounds and the sensations within our bodies and all else that is happening around us, giving it all permission. And even if you have a very quiet background around you, I have 4 mad cats on the other side of the door, and any one of them could disrupt this practice at any moment. But we will simply allow any sound, any distraction, including the sensations within and around our body, to be a part of these storms, these winds, which we will give permission to, and then dive. Using our breath to move underneath the surface of this ocean. Once again, bring your attention back to your breath. And with the ringing of this bell, breathe in as deeply as you can, finding the capacity of your lungs and your stomach, and then taking in a little bit more air. And then slowly and gently breathing out, still holding on to only the sensations. Not thinking about your breath, but experiencing it. And with this next breath in, allowing your nasal passage to be that bridge that transports you underneath the surface of this ocean, where it may not be completely quiet, but it is a little bit more quieter. And so you breathe in, and just like in one of those National Geographic documentaries or those underwater documentaries or even movies where everything suddenly becomes so much quieter, there's still bubbles and little sonar sounds entering into your experience, but it's still so much quieter. The wind has disappeared, the storms have disappeared, and each breath takes you deeper and deeper and deeper into the stillness and the contentment and the quietness of the space within us. If the skies above us were but reflections of this space, Then you move beyond the atmosphere where it becomes dark, where you move past the moon, and then maybe 10 minutes later, past the sun, and then beyond whole solar systems and galaxies, moving further and further and further afield. All of this taking place within. Each breath in, a little quieter. And from this space, you gaze up, where you still see the ripples and the waves and the silhouettes of birds, of clouds, maybe even boats passing by. And so the world around us, the world outside of us, it continues. It continues to move. It continues to happen. It continues to do. While we enter into this state and space of being here, now, just sitting and breathing, yet to find the boundaries to the space within. Isn't it so much easier to allow the waves and the boats and the ducks and the birds from this space of being? And that's why many facilitators, many teachers, they refer to this practice simply as one of allowing, the art of allowing this present moment to exist in its entirety. Bring your attention now to the sounds around you. That's the sound of my voice, the sound of the bell, other sounds around you. Some of them from within your body, some of them from within the room that you're in, some of them from outside, from further away. And it's often nice when you notice sounds, notice your opinions about these sounds. Which ones you like, which ones you dislike. Because this simply shows you how every sound is translated through the mind before we can make sense of it, before we can make any sense of it. You only know that this is the sound of a bell because somewhere along the line, your mind learned what a bell should or would sound like. You're giving meaning to it. The only reason you're making any sense of the sounds that are coming out of my lips and vocal cords is because your mind has retained the language called the English language. And it's quite obvious if I were to speak a different language, all you would be hearing would be mumblings, sounds that made no sense. Of course, if you were not familiar with the language. And so, who is guiding you in this practice? You are guiding yourself. Does this not point towards that very fact that the whole world is but a reflection of the space within us? Each and every one of us here giving a specific meaning to a particular word that leaves my lips and vocal cords. Possibly very different from the meaning I have within my mind. And so let this be a practice where you discover that you are guiding yourself, that you already know all about this practice. You are already familiar with the space within. You have always known, you have always resided here. But sometimes our identification simply shifting from this knowing, from this being, from this space of kindness and well-being and beauty and stillness and contentment to the mind. And when we identify ourselves as the mind, there is loneliness, there is sadness, there is frustration, there is anger, and a whole lot of different emotions. Simply because of the mind's function, the way in which the mind functions. How the mind, it translates the energy around us. If you can imagine, you don't even have to imagine, just using your mind, bring about those old science lessons that you once went through that reminded you that everything around us is atoms and molecules, energy, moving at very fast frequencies. Everything around us, pure energy, vibrations entering in through our five senses. And the brain, being a biological organism made up of matter. Now, something needs to slow this energy down. Something needs to translate these fast moving energies so that we can comprehend it, so that we can make sense of it, so that we can hear, smell, taste, touch. And that's where the mind comes in. It slows everything down, turning them into electrical charges that move through the brain, which is why you will discover through practice that the mind identifies itself as the body with the body, bringing about the illusion that we are separate from each other, bringing about the illusion that we are separate from the animals and the plants and the planet around us. And so we exploit each other, believing we don't have enough. Sometimes the animals, more often the planet, simply because we believe that they are all separate from us. With the ringing of this bell, have you noticed we've surfaced? We've come up, we've resurfaced, drifting along the waves and the storms. With the ringing of this bell, let's release that identification again and breathe in deeply so that we may shift our identification back into the space, back into the stillness, back into the kindness, which is intrinsically who we are. The indivisible space that transcends these forms, that transcend these minds, that simply give the appearance of being separate. This bell, so that we may dissolve our minds into this space. And this bell, this next bell, so that we may dissolve our forms, so that these forms dissolve into the space around us. And it's not difficult to imagine this because our whole bodies made up of atoms and molecules that are not actually touching each other, which means there are vast amounts of space around every atom, every molecule. And it is a proven fact that we are more than 99.9% pure space. And so this bell, inviting the vibrations, the sound vibrations into and through your bodies, so that they move through each and every one of us, sharpening, or rather dissolving the sharp edges around us, the contours that make up our bodies, the lines fading away, the muscles loosening themselves, the skin relaxing, every cell in your body surrendering itself to the forces of gravity, so that you retain just enough to keep your body upright. These sound vibrations moving through the organs within your body, returning every single cell, every single organ that makes up your body back into a space of balance, of healing, of well being. If you like, let my voice guide you through different parts of the body so that we can focus on different parts of the body, exploring, investigating, discovering whether we have retained tightness and stress within our bodies. And you may wonder how this ever happens. Have you ever experienced stress? Stress is another way of describing stress is simply wanting to be somewhere else other than where we are right now. Things to do, not enough time. Have you ever felt sadness, loneliness, anger, frustration? Let's contemplate on the possibility that every time we experienced these emotions, it was simply because we were comparing the present moment against some standard, or we were thinking about an event or words spoken to us by another, words that were unpleasant, that hurt us, events, and reliving them over and over again. In this practice, as you continue with your practice, as you get to know your bodies better, you will discover that the body, it does not have the ability to distinguish between a thought and reality. And for a brief moment, your reality right now is that you're sitting, you're breathing, you're listening. That's pretty much most of it. And your eyes are closed. So you are seeing, but you're seeing through your eyelids. So there may be shadows. So this is our reality. This is the fact. We're sitting and breathing. And then you notice your mind. It may be reliving an event, conversations, something from the past, or a projection into the future. And the body believes that thought is happening right now. And when that happens, that's how we experience these uncomfortable emotions: stress, sadness, anger, worry. The body releases stress hormones of various different chemicals that get us ready to either fight or run. And so, this practice is simply about reminding ourselves that we can shift our identification. back into this present moment. And this is what the bell is for. Use your breath again so that you may dive back into this present moment, back into this space. And over time, if we've relived certain events in the past too many times, or if we've held on to standards that have been created by our parents, our communities, the advertising industry, standards that we may not have reached just yet, we hold our bodies in a constant state of tightness. And then these pockets of tightness, they become a part of our body. The organs constantly, specific organs, specific parts of the body, constantly under stress. And it becomes normal. And in this practice, let's just go through the body and release. Even if we can't feel anything, even if we don't find anything, just simply release intentions that be balance, that we release, that we let go, and that we allow and embrace the stillness of this present moment, the safety, the privacy, the comfort of this present moment. That we are surrounded by like-minded beings, that we have these spaces, that we have this furniture, that we have this technology. Envision your awareness as a light shining upon your forehead, a light that is filled with various qualities which represent well-being. Maybe the quality of kindness, of ease, of comfort, of a comfortable warmth, of stillness, of peace, of smiles, of letting go. This light bathing the forehead so that you begin finding the skin loosening itself. And the same way in which the basis of this practice, at the basis of this practice, we are all connected to each other and this planet. You begin to discover that your forehead is connected to the whole scalp, the top, the crown, the back of your head, the sides of your head, the ears. This light of awareness now spreading throughout the whole scalp, like a warm oil bath seeping through the scalp, the skin loosening itself, and underneath the skin gravitating downwards through the thin layer of muscle that sits on the skull. Aware as this awareness, this light that is awareness spreads through the face, the skin that sits on your face, the layers of muscle underneath it, the bone underneath it, so that you become aware of your facial expression, but from within, through experience, your lips, your cheeks, your nose with the air that continues to flow in and out. This light bathing the whole head, and then gravitating inwards so that it moves through the skull, reaching every cell that makes up the brain, reminding yourself there is nothing you need to do. This is all about just being here now, observing, watching, being. This light of awareness moving through the eyes, starting with the muscles at the back of the eyes, and then bathing both eyes, bringing all pressures back into a space of balance, of releasing, of letting go. You feel your eyelids as they protect your eyes, as they rest gently, touching each other, your eyes closed, not needing to translate the light around you. Rest, resting. This light bathing the passages at the side of the head where the ears are, the canals and the tiny bones that vibrate, the ear lobes. Discovering how incredible this sense of hearing is, how all that is entering into our experience are vibrating air molecules. Some from my voice, some from the bell, some from your computer and your surroundings, vibrating air molecules that reach your eardrums vibrating, causing a chain reaction within the inner parts of the ear where tiny bones begin to vibrate, vibrations that then turn into electrical signals that move through the brain. Still nothing but vibrate electrical charges, and then they move through the mind, and then the mind translates these sounds, recognizing how this gives us power. I don't like to use the word power, but it returns back to us the ability to no longer be affected by words said to us by those around us. A recognition that they are simply vibrating air molecules, and we now have the ability to translate those that we choose to and release those that do not serve us. Perhaps smiling a bit more, being less affected by unkind words, or at least those that the mind would translate as unkind. This light of awareness moving down the neck, bathing every cell within and around the neck, the skin, the muscle, the windpipes, and the swallowing process within. This light of awareness gravitating downwards through the shoulders and the arms, reaching the fingertips and the palms, through the elbows, And then moving through the whole upper body, reaching every organ, every cell. There may be parts of your body that may not be functioning the way you would like them to, but let this be the beginning. And with the ringing of this bell, release an intention. The body obeys you, for you have discovered through this practice that you are the master of the mind, capable of directing it. And we release an intention that let there be peace and balance and stillness and kindness spreading through every cell within my body, so that my body becomes a reflection of the world around us. This world around us that I would like to see peace. I would like to see peace amongst the different communities, the different countries, the different peoples, the people and the planet. And for a moment, let us visualize this peace, this stillness. And then remind ourselves that our bodies are but reflections of the space around us. And as we bring balance and well-being and stillness and contentment within and to ourselves, the world begins to unfold in the same way. And it flows downwards through the pelvic regions and the legs and the knees and the soles of the feet and the toes until your whole body is bathed by this light, filled with these qualities of stillness, of kindness, of balance, of well-being. And now we hear the final bell, so that we may begin the true practice, so that we may bring with us this awareness, this presence, this stillness, this kindness with us as we watch our worlds unfold before us, as we hear our worlds unfold around us, as we smell and taste and touch the world around us as it unfolds before us from moment to moment and breath to breath. And now the final bell. As always, I'd like to sincerely thank all of you for joining me in the practice. Deeply appreciated as always. Take care, my dear friends. And thank you again for joining in. It's a pleasure. Take care. Welcome again, Matt. Bye-bye. Bye, Frank. Bye, Ruth. Bye, Rose.